On today's episode of Aqua Kids,
it's all about fish passage.
So, ready to make a difference?
Building a better planet starts with you.
Aqua Kids, traveling around the world, going where we've never been before, having fun and so much more, learning from our friends of the sea, saving them is up to you and me. Aqua Kids.
Hey everyone at home, and welcome to another great episode of Aqua Kids. I'm Drew.
And I'm Katie. Today we're headed out to Alaska, where we're going to get a look at how culverts are affecting fish passage.
Some of these culverts are so bad that they actually obstruct fish from getting up a lake or stream.
Luckily, however, there are efforts underway to restore some of the more detrimental culverts.
Well, it sounds like we have a filled day ahead of us, so let's get started.
All right, let's go. We're here at Matsu-Boro in Alaska, where we're going to be learning all about culverts.
Unfortunately, some culverts are preventing fish from getting from place to place.
Yeah, and this can really affect their life cycle. But luckily, there are a few ways we can change this.
Well, Rachel and Drew are learning about culverts right now. Let's go and check in with them.
All right. Hey, Bill.
Hi.
So could you tell us what a culvert is?
Yeah, well, a culvert is basically a tunnel for a stream to get through a road crossing, and this one's particularly bad. It's one of the worst ones we have in the Matsu-Boro here.
And what makes it a bad culvert?
It's severely undersized, and you can see that by looking at the sediment wedge up here.
Oh,
And this creek is probably at about a 4.5% slope, and this really flattens it out. So sediment, streams transport sediment and water, and the sediment's dropping out here, and we're creating a perch on the other side. This culvert probably would need to be about 3 times the size of this in order to transport everything.
How long has this one been an issue?
This has been an issue for about at least 10 years now.
Really?
And yeah, and the homeowners, they get a lot of icing here in the winter, so the ice will build up on the side here and actually go over the road in the winter, so they really want it fixed.
Yeah.
Now, how is this hurting the environment and the fish life?
Well, this is a tributary to the Little Susitna River, which is one of the second largest sport fisheries in the state for coho salmon. And so the coho come up here and they spawn in these tributaries. So there's about a mile of habitat up here that they cannot access by having this culvert the way it is. So biologically, we're missing out on a mile of habitat. And we also are affecting the geomorphology of the stream, so the stream can't transport what it needs to, and it affects some of the riparian habitat above it.
Well, when this culvert was made, do you think that they knew what they were doing to the fish?
No, I don't think they, usually people don't think of fish at all when they put a culvert in if they don't have the background in it, and so they were just trying to get a road across to their property.
It's unfortunate.
So Jillian, I noticed that there's this huge drop-off behind us. How did the fish get through that?
Well, Katie, in this case, we don't think they do. This is what we call a total barrier, this culvert. We don't believe that any fish of any size or species can get up through this culvert at any time of year, no matter how high the flows are or low the flows are.
So how does that affect the life cycle of the fish?
Well, essentially for the anadromous salmon, which is what we're looking at today, they can't get up past this culvert, which means they cannot access the stream above this. So they're essentially extirpated. They no longer exist in the stream above this.
Wow, so does that mean that they can't get out to the ocean as well?
It means that they can't spawn above this culvert. So in this case, there are no fish from above the stream going out to the ocean. We have some other culverts that adult fish can get through, but they also have a perch like this, and we have found, doing tagging studies, that the juvenile fish are hesitant to go downstream through the culverts as well. We think it's because they can sense that the velocity is too strong for them.
If they can't get up and they can't get down, where do they go?
Well, in the case of anadromous fish, they're basically completely what we call extirpated in the stream above this, which is more than a mile of habitat. That means they no longer use it. It's no longer a salmonid producing stream.
Well, that seems very dangerous to fish populations all over. Is there any way to fix this problem?
Absolutely. We remove culverts like this all the time, and we replace them with either what we call a stream simulation culvert, which allows unimpeded passage of aquatic organisms, or maybe a bridge.
Well, I noticed that you have a trap down there. Can we go take a look?
Absolutely.
Well, Jillian, we only got one fish. Does this really show how much the habitat has been destroyed?
In this case, I think we got one fish in this plunge pool because the water is moving so fast. In the past, we've captured a few more fish here.
So then what do you think it means?
I think if this culvert wasn't here and that adult coho were able to get up and spawn in this tributary as they, most likely did historically, we would have caught some juvenile coho in our trap.
It's absolutely horrible to think that some of these culverts are seriously affecting some streams to the point where fish cannot even get through in order to spawn.
I know. It's really bad to think that we're the ones who place these culverts without even taking fish into account.
Well, don't go away, because when Aqua Kids comes back, we get to learn what qualifies a culvert as a threat to the environment.
Aqua Kids presents another Aqua Kids pop quiz. Countless seabirds feed in Alaskan waters. Can you guess just how many? Is it A, 1,400,000, B, 14 million, or C, 140 million? No fair winging off to the internet. See if you can guess for yourself. We'll be back with the answer after the break. So, did you squawk out the right answer? Let's see. The answer is C, 140 million. That's an amazingly huge number. One that should remind us all just how important it is to preserve and protect the waters of Alaska.
Alaska, Alaska.
Let's head back to Alaska, where we're going to find out what can be done to restore some of the culverts once they've been considered a threat to fish passage.
All right, let's go.
There's Jillian. Hey.
Hi, Rachel.
So we've heard culverts are a pretty widespread problem. How common are they?
Well, we estimate that in the entire United States, there's about 2.5 million culverts on fish-bearing streams. Here in the Matanuska Borough, which is about the size of West Virginia, we have about 600 culverts on fish-bearing streams.
Wow.
We have about 2,500 miles of road, so it's a culvert for about every 4.2 miles of road.
How do you classify if culverts are a problem?
So we decide if culverts are a problem for fish passage based on a set of standardized data that we collect at all of the culverts we survey. We survey culverts every summer, have been doing so for 11 years.
Now, are these recorded?
Yes, absolutely. These data we collect at each site. We collect some data on the culvert, some on the stream, and we record it all, and we enter it into a big database at Fish and Game, and it's actually all available on the internet.
Is there different levels depending on how severe the problem is?
Absolutely. We classify each culvert doing what we call a rapid assessment. We call it either red, gray, or green. A red culvert means that we think fish cannot swim through that. A green means we're pretty sure fish can swim through it.
Right.
And the gray is somewhere in the middle. We may need to collect more data. And we are looking in the Mat-Su Borough at juvenile salmonids. That's our species and life stage of concern for fish passage. So we're talking fish that are 50 to 70 millimeters long.
And how many of these culverts are recorded?
We have about 600 in the Mat-Su and about 3,500 statewide.
So once you decide that a culvert is not fish friendly, like this one here, what do you have to do? What's the first step to fix it?
We like to prioritize the culverts by the ones that we think are having the most impact on fish. So to do that, we collect quite a bit of data. So we can go and do some of that now.
Okay.
Okay, Bill, what are we doing with this really long measuring stick?
Well, Clark, we're looking at some attributes of the creek. We're going to look at its width, its slope, and the culvert itself, and its width and slope as well.
Okay, so why do we do that?
Well, we do it in order to design a better crossing and to assess it for fish passage, what the existing culvert is right now. So the width, typically you want a culvert the width of the channel or larger, and we want it to emulate the slope of the stream itself.
Okay.
And we want it to have some of the same variables that you find in a natural creek.
If a culvert is narrower than the stream, what does that do to the habitat?
Well, what it does is it increases the velocity of the water, and so it makes it harder for fish to find their way up through it. If you look at the creek itself here, and if you look downstream at this riffle, you'll see a lot of variation of rocks and things and a lot of variation of flows. And that's what we're trying to emulate. And if you narrow the culvert up, you don't get that variation and allow fish and other aquatic organisms as easily to come through.
So it's all about parts of the stream. You said riffle. What is a riffle?
Well, a riffle is a part of a stream that's kind of basically the steepest part of the stream. And so it's where the water's fast and moving fast. And you can see a typical riffle right in front of us.
So what are we going to do to measure this creek?
All right, well, we're going to measure our width of the channel, the slope of the channel, and we're going to look at some rocks and see what kind of pebbles are in it.
Okay.
And then we're going to also get some of the attributes of the culvert itself.
Okay, let's go.
All right, so let's get a width here. And what we did is we found a stable riffle here. We're going to grab a width of the channel. And the width of the channel is typically a little more than what you find just from a normal low flow situation.
Okay, so it's going to be maybe at a high water mark instead of where it is right now?
Right, a little higher mark. So our channel is about 10 foot wide here, and that's what we need to see through the road crossing. Our culvert itself is about 4 feet wide.
Oh no,
so,
that doesn't sound good.
yeah, it's severely undersized.
Yeah,
and
so we need to change that, don't we?
Yeah, we're at risk of blowing our road out here during a flood event, for sure.
Well, Jillian, I have this huge thing in my hand. What am I going to do with it?
Okay, Katie, so this is an optical level, and we're going to use this to read the elevation on the survey rod they have down there.
All right.
And then we're going to use that information to calculate the slope of the stream and the slope of the culvert.
You're good there. Straight up and down, so take measurement.
Can we see the numbers? Okay, Katie, what's the number?
11.32.
Okay, here's our last reading. We'll be at 141 feet.
Okay, Katie, we're at 141 feet. What's the reading?
13.3.
Okay, 13.3.
Great, well, Katie, we've got all our measurements, so let's go and see what this means.
All right.
All right, Bill, so we've done all the recordings, done some calculations. What's the final result? What does it all mean?
Well, what we got here is, obviously it's a very undersized culvert. We have a 10-foot creek with a 4-foot culvert in it, so it's severely undersized. And so, well, we may end up in flood situations in some velocity issues for fish.
Yeah.
And we also we looked at the slopes, and the slope of the culvert is actually less than the slope of the creek itself, which is a good thing, but it's still severely constricted.
What does this mean for the stream?
Well, it means that we got to fix this pipe so that the stream can continue to function correctly and get the fish upstream.
It was good to see that once it's determined that a culvert may not be suitable for fish passage, steps are taken to fix the problem.
Yeah, it was really rewarding to be a part of the data collection and know that we were making a difference for some fish.
That's right. Don't go away. When Aqua Kids returns, we're going to see a recently repaired culvert.
The Pebble Partnership wants us to believe their plans for Pebble are unprecedented. But the Pebble process is the problem. You see, there are no standards in Alaska's mine permitting process. Nope, international mining companies could dig up 50 feet of salmon streams, or 50 miles. That's wrong. It's time for an independent review of the Pebble permitting process. That's as clear as the waters of Bristol Bay.
Alaska, Alaska.
Welcome back to Aqua Kids.
We're headed to a culvert that has been recently repaired to see what a tremendous positive impact this has for the fish. On today's show, we've seen a culvert that's in bad shape.
We saw another culvert that's in a little bit better shape, but still is a barrier for fish.
So now let's check out a culvert that's been recently repaired and see what an impact it makes for the fish.
Well, let's go.
Hey Clark, here's Jillian right here.
Hi, Jillian.
Hey guys.
So I heard the culvert was repaired 2 years ago. What was wrong with the original one?
Okay guys, so this is Elk Creek in Matanuska Borough, and this creek is a salmon-bearing stream. It's about 6 to 8 feet wide. It's got some pools that are about 10 feet wide. And the culvert that was in here prior to this, it was not an undersized culvert. It was a 10-foot culvert,
Okay.
10-foot round culvert. However, the culvert was set high above the stream bed, so there was no stream material in the bottom of the culvert. It was just bare metal. It also had some damage and was parting in the middle, and it had a little perch. So that was a problem for fish because the bare metal pipe increases the velocity of the water significantly. It was also very shallow in the bare metal pipe, so it was a big problem for adult fish when they're trying to migrate upstream to spawn this time of year. You can see how shallow the water is here in the creek.
Yeah, definitely can. So that barrier was keeping the adult fish from coming up. Was it impeding the smaller fish from coming back?
Well, it may have been impeding the smaller fish from coming back at higher flows because they would have sensed how fast the velocity. It was also impeding small fish from going upstream because of the little jump they have to do. Fish need a little bit of depth to jump. They swim down and then up. And inside the pipe, the water's so shallow they can't do that. So they probably weren't able to get past the little perch.
So what did you do to repair it?
Okay, so what happened at this site was the initial culvert was removed and it was replaced with what we call a stream simulation culvert. And a stream simulation culvert is a culvert that is designed and constructed with a stream channel inside it that is basically indistinguishable from the up and down stream channel.
So you created little pools, little riffles, little rocks inside of it?
It's exactly what we did, and we're going to go show you how.
Okay, let's go.
All right, so I want to talk about how this culvert was built. And Katie and Rachel, what we have here is, this was constructed 2 years ago, and we have a multi-plate arch pipe. And so what that means is there's only a couple places in the United States that these are built. And they come in on pallets all the way up from the lower 48 on barges, and we build them. And so this is about a 10.5-foot arch, and it's embedded. And we created the stream bed through it.
So this is now considered a fish-friendly culvert?
That's right, Rachel. This is a official fish-friendly, official stream simulation culvert. And we're simulating the creek, and with fish don't know that they're going through it for the most part. You know, the only thing that's different is nothing can grow in a culvert. Mm-hmm. And so we have to emulate the stream banks with rocks, and that's the only thing different than from the original creek.
So did you have to stop the flow of water when building this culvert?
Yeah, Katie, we diverted it. We didn't stop it because you'd have to take a pretty big tank to keep the water for about a 2-week period. So what we did is we diverted around the area we're going to put the culvert in another culvert. This culvert that we can get the water through. And then we had to take the road and keep the road open. And so we had to actually make a 1-lane road on the other side for a temporary diversion.
Can we go inside and take a look?
You bet. Let's go take a look in here. Look at the stream. Here we're in a kind of a ripple here, and this is kind of a slow-moving ripple glide type of formation. We have you see some of the gravel in here is kind of smaller instead of the larger cobbles like you see up there in the ripple. It's a little smaller. Yeah. You can see some of these are more spawning size gravels.
Oh, yeah.
And as opposed to like in the ripple there's a lot larger cobbles. So here, salmon can probably spawn in this area and then move on up through this ripple into a little pool complex. So there's probably some spawning areas there and a little resting area for them.
How'd all this rock get in here?
Yeah, when they put the culvert in, it was lower than the stream bed. So we filled it up with rock that we brought in, and so they had a machine where it had a small bucket on it, was able to fit in the culvert and bring these material in. And then they moved it to the edges with laborers. And so the machine helped a lot because some of these rocks are pretty big. It's not like you can really walk them in all the time.
So who helped you complete this project?
The project was a partnership between Fish and Wildlife Service, the Matsu Borough, and the Nature Conservancy. And so we all chipped in funds to make this thing happen.
Well, Bill, this sounds like a really cool project. It took cooperation from a lot of different people, a lot of funding, but in the end, was it actually beneficial? I've heard that you actually get more money back from it because all the fish that you help in providing a healthy habitat for them.
That's right, Rachel. You get millions and even billions of dollars of worth out of connecting habitat for fish in the nation. And this is just one small project that helps get you to that end.
Katie, you actually got to go into the culvert. What was it like?
Well, I mean, if I was a fish, I don't think I would have known I was going through a culvert. The bottom was exactly like a natural stream bed.
It's good to know that scientists have discovered a way to restore these culverts to make sure that fish passage is preserved.
Aqua Kids presents Aqua News. Here's our top story. Mission Blue helps to keep the world green and blue. Mission Blue, founded by the renowned scientist Dr. Sylvia Earle, is a coalition of partners with the objective of ocean conservation and restoration. Since its founding in 2009, Mission Blue has been working tirelessly to ignite public support for a global network of marine protected areas. They call these marine protected areas hope spots, believing that they are large enough to save and restore the many life forms living in the ocean, or as Mission Blue likes to call it, Earth's Blue Heart. Mission Blue hopes that by bringing public awareness to these hope spots, they will empower and mobilize an international community to take urgent action and reverse the ocean's current state of peril. I'm Katie from Aqua News, keeping you connected to our planet. Now, back to Aqua Kids. Well, we're out of time for today's episode of Aqua Kids. I had a really great time following the progression of culverts from ones that were impeding fish passage to others that were almost like a culvert wasn't even there.
Yeah, I did too. You know, it's really important that changes are being made to make these culverts more environmentally friendly.
That's right, it doesn't only help the fish within the stream, but also people. Because with fish being the #1 source of protein on the planet, healthier fish populations lead to healthier people.
So that's why we should remember that everyone can help do their part to keep this planet green and blue.
And so can you. So visit our website for cool eco tips.
And fun links to show you how we can keep the world
And the water, a great place to play and explore.
And we'll see you next time
On Aqua Kids.
Aqua Kids, traveling around the world, going where we've never been before, having fun and so much more, learning from our friends of the sea, saving them is up to you and me.
Furniture for the Aqua Kids set provided by IKEA.